Go.
This interview is for the Westchester Area School District Legacy Project. What is your name? What school did you go to, and what year did you graduate high school?
My name is Richard Yoder, and I went to my elementary school was the Auditorium Elementary School, which no longer exists. It's a housing project now. I went to Westchester Junior High School, where I went to junior high school. It exists, but it is now an apartment building. And I went to high school at the Westchester Joint Junior Senior High School, and I graduated in 1955.
How did you get to school?
I walked.
Oh, you did?
There were school buses, but they were primarily for the kids who lived out of town or on farms. If you lived in the community of Westchester, and the schools were in the community at that time, not like it is now. Like you're out here in West Goshen, and Pierce is north part of town. Stetson, which was South Junior High School when I first started teaching there, is probably also in West Goshen Township. But all the schools were in the town of Westchester, so all of us who lived in town, we walked to school with our brothers and sisters and friends, and we walked home for lunch most of the time, walked back to school for the afternoon session. But that's how and even when I went to the high school, which is now Henderson High School, that was first built, we even walked out there. There were no buses that were permitted for anyone who lived in town.
But the buses that the people that lived out of town took, did they look pretty similar to theirs?
Pretty much similar. The design is a little different. They were yellow and they had red flashing lights the same way. They did not have these guards. They did not have the safeguards. They did not have the little side stop sign, I remember. But they had the flashing lights, and the people who were driving the cars would stop as the kids got them off the bus. Same.
What subjects did you take in middle school?
Well, we were all mandatory to take English and history and art and physical education. And we had industrial arts. The girls had home economics, which was our class. And we had science and biology and chemistry. So pretty much the same courses, not nearly the high level of academic that the schools are now presenting to the kids.
Was high school pretty much the same?
High school is pretty much, you had some electives. You could elect a language. You could elect some higher mathematics, like an Algebra 2 or physics. You could also elect, as I remember, calculus, pre-calculus. It wasn't a pre-calculus, it was just calculus. But the subjects were there, but you could elect, they were all electives, except the English, history, basic mathematics. We had literature. Pretty much the same courses.
Do you remember how many students when your graduating class?
I remember exactly how many students because we've been very active. I graduated from Westchester Joint Junior Senior High School was the name at that time. That's when all the townships consolidated the schools. And there were 206 in our class. Unfortunately, there's about 60 that have passed. And we have active addresses of my classmates for about 120, and of those, almost 80 have electronic mail. So the senior citizens, in order to communicate with your grandchildren and your children, you need to become, and today you take it for granted, you all have an iPad or a computer. But for our age, I'm amazed at how many of I could call myself a senior citizen. How many of us senior citizens have access to a computer and use a computer?
Were the grades that went to elementary, middle, and high school similar?
No. You went to elementary school from 1 to 6. Then there was junior high school, 7th, 8th, and 9th. Then senior high school, 10th, 11th, and 12th. However, when the new high school, which is now Henderson High School, was built, we started 9th grade, 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th went there. So I think that's when it started to change, that the senior high school included 9th grade. At that time, that had to be about 1951, 52.
How is your school experience different from how it is today?
I don't know what your school experience today is, but we had a good time. It was fun. It's where you saw all your friends. It's where there were no behavioral problems that I can remember. Everyone loved the school, and if someone misbehaved in school, their parents would let them know about it when they got home. So the parents were very, very involved. And I'm sure parents today are also still involved. But Back in the 50s, when I went to school in the late 40s, the parents were very, very involved. Keep in mind, a lot of parents were first generation here. Many of them never went to college. Some of them never missed high school. So for them to have their children do well in school was very, very important. So the bond between the teachers and the parents were very, very close when we went to school. If you messed up in a class, somehow your parents knew by the time you got home. Don't know how they did that, but they knew.
What was your most memorable experience at school?
Well, can I brag? Is this the time to brag?
Mm-hmm.
My most memorable experience is when I was elected co-captain of the football and the baseball team.
Oh, that's
I thought that was really, I love sports, and I played football. And I played basketball and ran track in junior high school. In senior high school, I played football and baseball.
Mm-hmm.
And to be elected by your classmates and teammates was really a thrill. And I tried to work for it. It made me work extra hard to warrant that position.
When you went to school, were the schools segregated by race or gender?
They were. We didn't know it. I was reflecting on that question. There was an elementary school called the Gay Street School, because it was on Gay Street, where all the African American kids that lived in town, there were many who became friends, went to elementary school. Now, when they went after sixth grade, 7th through 12th grade, all the schools are integrated. Now, the two schools that I know that were integrated that were elementary schools in town was St. Agnes High School, was elementary and high school, that was all integrated, as was Friends School, which was predominantly a Quaker school, that was integrated in elementary school. But before that, the elementary schools, there was a separate elementary school for African American youngsters. And I don't remember the exact year that changed, but I think it might have changed about 1952, 53, I'm not quite sure.
Were there any specific classes that were separated by gender, like only girls took?
Yes. You only took your physical education class. Males and the females were separate. And I said the men took a course called Industrial Arts, which was shop. You learned how to woodwork and how to work with metals and so on. The girls didn't take that. They took home economics. The boys didn't take home economics. I guess the girls were supposed to be the cooks. And the only other thing that I can remember is that there was a typing class. And the only ones who were allowed to take typing were those who were not going to go to college, but they were going to go in the business world. So those of us that were going to college, we never had typing. And what a disadvantage that was when you went to college, because you had to type your papers, and the computers came out, and a lot of us did not know how to type. And because of that, our children, and it was the same way, our children, we sent them to a typing school in summer school. They did not like that, but that's the only time that they could take it, because we knew that the computer and the electronic typing, well, there were electric typing machines that came out, but that was the future. So now today, elementary schools, you have keyboarding, right? You have keyboarding? Elementary school? When do you learn to type?
Well, some of the teachers kind of have me teaching, like there's a website that they use.
Okay. Well, my grandkids, I got 9 grandkids, they all know how to type. It's amazing. I think the computer world has brought that forth.
Did you go on any field trips during your
Yep.
school?
When we were outside of schools, there were safety patrols. You don't probably have them here. You maybe have bus patrols now, help kids on and off the bus. But before, wherever the school was located, 4 or 5 blocks either way, there was an upperclassman. An elementary school would be a 6th grader, maybe a good 5th grader that had good marks. You would become a safety patrol, and you would help the 1st, 2nd, 3rd graders across the street. And if you were selected as a safety patrol, then you got a chance to take a field trip to see the Phillies or the Philadelphia Athletics. Philadelphia had 2 sports baseball teams. That was always a big thrill. In my class, about the 10th grade, we took a wonderful day trip to Gettysburg. And I remember I got hooked on the Civil War. I made it one of my passions. I've been to many, many battle sites of the Civil War because of my exposure to Gettysburg and the Civil War battle between the North and the South. And we took some other trips. A lot of them were recreational in nature. The Lenape Park which is not there any longer. It's another kind of facility. There was always a recreation day for the class to go to Lenape Park. So we didn't take many field trips. When we were in elementary school, we'd walk to the library every Friday afternoon. When I was in elementary school, the public library on North Church Street, it's still there. Every Friday afternoon, when I was in elementary school, which was down the street, we'd go to the library and we would dismiss at the library. But the elementary school teachers expose you to the library.
Were there any after-school activities besides the sports that you did, or no?
I was in the band. I played the saxophone. I'm the 8th of 13 children, and my father insisted that we all play a musical instrument. And here's the reason he said that. If you can learn to read music, any form of music, you can appreciate any form of music, whether it's an opera, whether it's Neil Diamond and rock and roll. He said, if you can read music, it's like being able to read the words. If you can read words, you can read any book. So we all played a musical instrument. Now, because I was a football player, I did not play in the marching band. I was playing football, but I played in the concert band. All my brothers and sisters, we all played in the band.
Was bullying a problem at your school, or no?
Bullying? There was such thing. There was, in school, it was implied that you were there to go to school, and the teachers would take care of those who didn't want to be there that day. They would misbehave and sort of thing, and send them to the office, and the parents had to come and get you. But there was no such thing that as the students in any way. Did people dislike each other? Of course, but there's no bullying. There's no school problem, because school was a place that was a lot of discipline, and you know that if you were not disciplined in school, that your parents would hear about it right away, and that was trouble.
Thank you. That concludes this interview.
Well, thank you for asking me and how delightful it was. Did a good job.